Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a few things. I haven't done a real talk in a while. Most of the subscribers don't listen to these, but there's a couple of dedicated real talk fans out there. So remember, real talks are, for you new people, real talks are just me not getting into the whole spiritual woo-woo. It's more or less me sharing something from my own experience, and maybe it'll be helpful in yours. I think today, actually this week, I've been thinking a lot about, how it's not out there, it's inside. And I've been reading a lot of different material lately, and I've been trying not to read so much, but it hasn't been working out. I haven't been going down any rabbit holes, but I've been reading different people and different outlooks on the experience, on life, and what they may be. And somebody that I came across, who I've come across before, and maybe some of you have come across him before, is UG Krishnamurti. Not the Krishnamurti that we all know that's all over the place on YouTube, and his outlook on it all is, it's a little, I don't know. I mean, it's not really out there. Basically what he gets at is chasing enlightenment and all that is a waste of time. He's basically he's the polar opposite of the Krishnamurti that most of you probably know. He's the polar opposite of him. And they actually knew each other and everything, and they didn't really get along too well, I guess. But if you've never heard of any UG Krishnamurti stuff, maybe look it up and you'll be able to follow this more. And what I gained from it, what he says is true, and that is that, we're all out here chasing quote-unquote enlightenment, and there's no such thing. And another thing about real talks, this is all just my opinion, so feel free to argue in the comments, but there is no enlightening moment for you. There might be an aha moment. There might be a moment of awakening. I definitely believe in a moment of awakening. I believe personally that awakening is enlightenment. Once your awareness brings you to an awakening moment that you see through all the minutia and all the bullshit of this experience, to me, that is an enlightenment. For me to realize that I am no better, no worse than the guy that's begging for change, no better, no worse than the guy that is a dictator. Once I start seeing that there's patterns and there's simplicity to this whole thing, and once I understand that I'm a hypocrite and I'm contradictive of my own things that I think and even the videos that I put out, once I start seeing through all the labels and the bullshit that has been programmed into my mind, not even just from my childhood, not even from my years of being a hardcore atheist, not from my years of being a hardcore Bible-thumping street preacher, but just the programming that continually is beaten into us every day living in this experience. And once you get past that, once you get to that awakening moment, and you realize that in the grand scheme of things, nothing really matters. But let me say this very slowly. In the grand scheme of things, your suffering, your happiness, your joy, your enlightenment, your spiritual walk, your bills, your arguments, your hatred, whatever it may be, none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things. But the only thing that does truly matter is what matters to you in your experience. It's not whether, should I do this, and will society put me down for this or hold me down for doing this? But it's not that. It's whether you're going to hold yourself down. Because the reason why 90% of us are on this spiritual walk, if not 99.999% of us are on this walk, is because we feel like we've been beaten by all the other abstracts in our life. Whether it be standardized doctrinal religion, whether it be our upbringing, whether it be, our love life, whatever it may be, we all get to this point where we say, there's got to be another way, bro. There's got to be another way. But, or 90% of us come to this path because we deal with depression. Any spiritual circle, they'll tell you the same thing. People that go for a spiritual walk, a spiritual path, not one made of dogma and stuff, they're doing it because they're trying to find self-help. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Trust me, my walk, my path has taken me away from a lot of horrible things that I was doing to myself in this life. in this experience. So there's nothing wrong with being on this walk for that. But what is wrong is when we start thinking that these spiritual circles or this spiritual teacher over here, this yogi over there, what he thinks, what his opinion is should be our opinion, or it should be important that we neglect to do what we came to do. We came to do was to solve our self-hatred, our incapabilities to love ourselves. You may not think that's why you're on this path, but that's exactly why you're on this path. You've come to try to find out who you really are. Whether you believe that you are really here, whether it's all a matrix, if there is no self or any of that, it doesn't matter. The reason you started doing this is because you want to find out how you don't have to live with it anymore, how you don't have to go through the suffering anymore. And you can do it in certain ways, but you're still going to suffer. Folks, all this is coming from the heart. You're still going to suffer, and you're still going to have moments of joy, but you're going to end up suffering more if you keep thinking that the answer is out there, that some guy on some YouTube video, myself included, or anywhere, a book, whatever, all the rabbit holes. I can only imagine the rabbit holes all of you have gone down like I've gone down. It's not out there. And you're going to keep searching, and you're going to keep saying, your ego's going to keep saying, no. I know we had a great day the other day, but that's not it. It's still out there. It's not. And it's not the ego's fault. The ego's self-defense mechanism. The ego doesn't want you to just stop and sit in silence. It wants to keep itself busy, basically. I won't get into ego on this. There's plenty of videos on ego, but I'm ranting and I'm rambling, and I hope some of you get what I'm trying to say. What I was bringing up with the UG Krishnamurti guy earlier is that he's not the only one that's said it. I've read plenty of people over the years. Albert Camus. If none of you have ever read Albert Camus, Camus, and his story of Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill, I think you should read that. And you'll get exactly where I'm getting at right now. Because what Albert talks about is the absurdity of this experience. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether you believe this is all a dream or whatever. I believe it's all a dream. I don't believe any of this is real, but that I'm still here. I'm still living this dream. So I have to, experience it and find the best methods that go along with that. And what Albert says is that this whole thing is absurd. He's telling you to embrace the absurdity of this experience, embrace the chaos of this experience, learn to live with it and love it, enjoy everything you are given. UG Krishnamurti is, he's called a fatalist, he's called a pessimist, and he is in some ways, and so am I, and so are you. None of us are perfect. But what he's telling you is the same thing Albert is telling you, is that, yeah, you can follow that guy, or you can follow this guy, but he's not going to lead you there any faster than you're going to lead yourself. Why try to get to know the experience and personality of another in order to find your experience and your interpersonal experience? Why follow somebody else for that? I'm ranting, but like I said, like I'm trying to say is, it's all within us, folks. I've never been the guy that could accept, I am sober 8 years this week. 8 years I will be sober this week. And whenever I go see my doctors or I talk to my friends or family, I say, I would have done it. I wouldn't have made it without you. And they all turn around. They all say, you did this yourself. But I don't want to believe that because of my own bouts of depression and my own way of upbringing. I never believed that I could do anything myself. But I'm here telling you now that these last 8 years, I've done that. And you can too. I am not a saint. I am more of a sinner than I will ever be a saint. I do not understand or cannot comprehend how I quit drinking. But I quit cold turkey and never took another sip. Even with all the deaths of family and friends that went through, when I was really jonesing for one, I never did it. And yeah, my doctors helped me, and yeah, my family helped me, and my friends helped me. And God, whatever version of God I believe that helped me. But I've started to realize this week that I did that. And I did that not because I read some book by Eckhart Tolle or, watched some video. And I'm not saying you got to stop those things. But what I'm saying is I read all those things and I read stuff like that. And yes, it definitely helped change my way of thinking. But you still have to go within and you have to ask yourself, why am I like this? Why do I do this? Why? All the awareness and all these videos that we teach you about awareness, you can come to the awareness that your body isn't really your body and all that. Great, fine. That's not what you got to focus your awareness on. You have to focus your awareness on your thoughts. And you have to focus on the negative thoughts. And you have to focus on embracing and working your way around those thoughts. None of it really matters unless it matters to you. Are you willing to live with yourself? Because if you're on this path and you're following some guru or some this or some seminar, or even if you're not doing any of that, and you're doing what I'm saying in this right now, but you're still having those feelings of, I can't do it myself, I'm not worthy, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, then you have to understand that the only thing that really truly matters is what matters to you. Don't put labels on it. If you do something bad, don't put labels on it. If you do something good, don't put labels on it. Just accept that you did it. That's it. I did it. I made that decision. Stop saying, oh, it's that guy's fault. It's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. The only guy's fault it is you. If you're being harmed or abused continually, that's because you're allowing yourself to be harmed and abused continually. I know I'll catch some slack on that one. And I'm not saying it's every situation, but I hear it so many times, whether in the comments or from friends and family, that they're going through it. And I've done plenty of real talks on this already, so I won't get into it. But the only person that's holding you back is you. I didn't want to admit that to myself. In these last 8 years, I wasn't willing to admit that to myself. And I've come so far because I finally realized that I am strong. I am capable. I have understood completely. In order for me to say I love somebody else, I have to say I love myself. This was all over the place. I hope those with ears heard something that might help. I love you all. Remember, in 100 years, nobody's going to remember anything you did. I know that may sound depressing, but think of the freedom in that. Now, if you become famous, maybe, but I'm talking like Johnny Cash famous, like real famous. Anyways, I love you all. Walk in light. More videos coming soon.